Today we're going to be taking a look at a profit switcher that I put together for the Osprey E300, and in particular this will work with, it should work with any Osprey standalone FPGA unit. So whether you have the VU9P, VU13P, VU33P, VU35P, and whether it's a E100, E200, or E300, this should work on it. Not everything I have is an E300, that's what I've tested with. And so in theory, it should work with no matter how many cards you have. However, I haven't had a chance to test that. Essentially, what this app does is it will take a look at hashrate.no. And if we hop on over there, we can take a look at a sample calculation that I have here. So this is actually a combination of two E300s of mine, the VU35P and VU33P. And the current profitability. So we've got Elf, we've got Etika, we've got Ironfish, Caspa, Kylecoin, Radiant, and Cedra. And what the profit switcher will do is it will API into hashrate.no. It will check profitability. It'll look and see the bit stream that's currently running on the FPGA, and it will determine if any of the ones coming back from the updated calculation are more profitable. You can set a threshold. The default threshold is 15%, meaning the calculation at this point in time, the profitability on it needs to be 15% higher than what you're currently mining in order for it to profit switch to it. The reason we do this is we commonly see Elf and Kylecoin kind of neck and neck in profitability for the most part. And so you can kind of see that here. We've got 965 versus 976. And these could fluctuate, every few minutes to every hour based on difficulty and just based on some fluctuations in hash rate based on the dev feed that's executing, things like that. So what we do is we put that threshold in there because we don't want, especially with the FPGAs, you have to rate the bit stream. There's a lot of time involved in that. We don't want to constantly be hopping between them. So that threshold, which is configurable, will allow us to determine when we want to profit switch versus when we just want to stay on the coin that we're on. And you have the ability to enable just certain coins if you want. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to run it. Now, this is cross-platform, so it can run on Windows, Mac, or Linux. Today, I'm actually going to be running it on a Hive OS rig so that it just runs in the background. And essentially what will happen is every hour, it will check profitability and determine whether it should switch or not. And that's what it does by default. If you're running this on Windows, all you need to do is head on over to the releases section, download the zip file, run the exe, and it will profit switch. Now on Windows, this is a one-time execution exe, so what you want to do is you want to set up a scheduled task that would run that exe every hour, let's say. For Linux, it's super simple. All you need to do is copy this install command. We're going to hop on over to a Hive OS rig that we're going to install this on. We're going to go ahead and run this command. And that's going to go ahead and download the dependencies, install them. It's also going to download the binary files that make up the profit switcher. It's going to install them to a folder called Osprey E300 profit switcher at the root. And then it's going to set up a cron job that will auto run that every hour. Now, once the script's done, we're going to modify the config file for your specific environment. So let's just give this a minute, let it get through running the installer, and then we will start configuring it. Alright, and it just installed, and it actually ran it using the sample config file. And one of the things you're going to notice here is I've actually have it running on two separate E300s. One's the 35p and the other's the 33. It profit switched the 35 to Ironfish from Kylecoin, which is what I was currently mining. However, it did not profit switch the 33 because of the clocks that I have set. The Kylecoin's actually still more than 15% profitable than Ironfish. So what we want to do now is we want to modify the config file. So to do that, we're just going to change into, so we're going to do cd slash, and we'll do Osprey E300 profit switcher. And if we do an ls command, within this folder, what you're going to see is you're going to see this miners.json. So we're going to do a nano on miners.json. And this is going to be the config file. Now here you're going to want to generate an API key for hashrate.no. So to do that part of it, all you have to do is hop on over to hashrate.no. And I'm actually going to log out here. Or in our case, we can stay logged in. That's fine. And you right here, you may have an API key. You may not. If you don't, you can just say renew API key. We're going to say OK. This is actually going to generate a new one. You're going to take this and you're going to plug it in here. This is very important. Now that I've refreshed it, the one that's in the actual sample is no longer valid. Sample config file. So just make sure you change that to yours. And here you can set the coin threshold. Again, this is going to be in a percentage, so it's going to be 15%. And then the next section of this is there's a miners block. And this is where you can put a whole list of all your various miners that you may have. So if you've got 10 VU35Ps, you can put each of them in here separately, each with their own individual IP address. So the important things here are, if you want it to profit switch, make sure enabled is true, and the IP address. And then within the coins block, the sample config file is already going to be built out for every coin that is supported through a public bitstream on the Osprey E300. So we've got Elf, Kylecoin, Ironfish, pretty much all the Radiant, Etika, Cedra, Caspa, basically all the ones that hashrate.no supports and Osprey supports. And then what you're going to see is you can set the voltage, so the VCC-INT is the voltage that you want to this specific unit to run when it's running ELF. Same thing with the HBM memory voltage. And then you can also have the clock and the voltage for the mem. And then you're also going to want to put in your hash rate, and you want to put in your power draw as well. And then the pool, update this to the pool that you want to use. Change the wallet address to whatever wallet you want to mine to. And then here you can set your power rate. This is using my default power rate of 5 cents, but this is cents per kilowatt hour. So just make sure you put in, so this is 5 cents. If you have 10 cents, you just do that. And then the next step is going to be, for each of these, you can put in the miner fee and the pool fee. The miner fee should all be set for you. They're either 15 or 10% based on the miner. But the pool fee you can adjust. And it's going to use the power cost, the miner fee, and the pool fee all to determine profitability for that exact coin. So it's going to be more accurate than what you would natively see on hashrate.no because it's adjusting for those. And then we've got the dev and the algo in here. Make sure you leave those intact. These are needed for the Osprey API. If you ever have any questions about what to use here, just let me know and I can kind of guide you on that. But so what we see is we've got Elf, we've got Kylecoin, we've got Ironfish, Radiant, Cass, and make sure these names match the tickers that are for the coin, which should match the tickers that are on hashrate.no. It's very important. We've got ETI, and then if we scroll on down, here you can see there's a closing curly brace and a comma signifying that we've got a second object in this array. And here you can see we've got our E333, which is the VU33P version. We've got the IP address for it, and we've got different clocks. Obviously with ELF, we've got 11 gigahash hash rate here versus the 20 whatever on the VU35P. And we've got adjusted voltages as well as clocks. And essentially what's going to happen is once you configure this file, you can just go ahead and save and exit. The next time it runs, it's going to pick up that file. And it will profit switch whatever changes that you made. By default, it does it every hour. If you want to adjust that, you can just do your cron tab -E to edit. And down here at the bottom, you can see the line that got added from the installer. And this basically says every hour it's going to run our Osprey E300 Profit Switcher app. And the way that works is it's going to do the checks. It's going to stop the existing miner. Assuming it needs to stop it. If the new top coin is more than 15% profitable than the current coin you're mining, it's going to go in, it's going to stop the miner, it's going to change the voltage, it's going to update the whole Osprey screen that you would normally see. So you can actually jump over there and show you. So it's going to actually adjust everything you see on this screen. So it's going to set the developer, it's going to set auto start to on, it's going to set the algo, it's going to set the pool, it's going to set the wallet, it's going to set the worker ID. It's also going to set the core clock. And it's going to do this based on whatever you put in that config file. And that's why the developer and the algo are super important, that they're the exact values. Again, I already have those coded in. Now, one thing I did not mention is if you wanted to turn off any specific coin, meaning you don't want it to profit switch to that coin, you don't even want it to take it into account. Let's say, as an example, Caspa. We know Caspa isn't profitable anymore on FPGAs. We could set this to false. We could also set Cedra coin to false. It will then basically ignore those from a profitability check. If you wanted to include those, you can certainly do that by turning those on. So it allows you full flexibility over everything that you can profit switch, and this doesn't require you to do anything extra on the Osprey E300. It's using all of the native Osprey APIs that are available for the miner and also for the control board. That's it for this video. If you have any questions about the profit switcher, if you need help configuring it or anything, just drop me a comment below and we can get you all situated. All of the source code is on GitHub as well. It's really pretty straightforward. It's just doing API calls to hashrate.no, to the Osprey control board, and to the Osprey miner. And there's also no additional dev fee incurred for running the profit switcher. It's 100% free. If you decide to use it, great. If not, no big deal.